الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلاة ربي وسلامه ورحمته وبركاته على ذاك النبي الكريم نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. We continue in Bulugh al-Maram on this day of, what's today's day? The Gregorian calendar. The Miladi. What's today? It's right on your calendar on the front of the phone. On the 11th. On the 11th of May, in agreement, which it corresponds with, over the year, for the year 2018, in accordance with the Gregorian calendar, or with the Hijri calendar, which is now, where are we in Sha'ban? The month of Sha'ban, which is approximately what's today's date, everyone? The 25th of Sha'ban. Wow. Today is the 25th of Sha'ban. Agreement with the, or accordance with the Hijra calendar, which is what, everyone? 1,400 and what? 39 of the Hijra al-Mustafa alayhi salatu wassalam. In our preparation for Ramadan, ya ma'ashar al-ikhwa, which is of the utmost of importance, we started in the hadith of Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu arda. We said the hadith of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says, "Man lam yada' qawl az-zur wal 'amal bihi wal jahl, falaysa lillahi hajatun fi an yada' ta'amahu wa sharaba." That whoever doesn't leave off statements of evil and actions in accordance with it, and likewise jahl. We said jahl does not mean ignorance here. Rather, jahl means adam al-hilm, means acting in a very obnoxious or obscene way or manner. We will get inside the explanations of the meaning of jahl here. For verily Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not in need of one leaving off his food and drink. And this hadith, as we know, the authenticity of it has been established, which is on al-Bukhari wa Abu Dawood wa lafdhu lahu. So we said, ya ma'ashar al-ikhwa, that mufattirat of the affairs that invalidates one's siyam, as we know, breaks down to two categories. We talked about the first category, which is what they call al-mufattirat al-ma'nawiyya. Al-mufattirat al-ma'nawiyya. Those intangible affairs which breaks one's fast. Well, we said, well, one's siyam is still valid if he falls into one of these affairs. However, like we said, his reward will be incomplete, to the point where it's as if he did not fast at all. But one has been commanded to complete and follow up his siyam. For we say, ya ma'ashar al-ikhwa, fi'l al-muharramat min al-kalam al-muharram. For example, he says actions which are unlawful from speech, likewise, that is unlawful. Or for example, everything that Allah Ta'ala has made unlawful for the abd to do outside the month of Ramadan, then know for sure that it's even more emphasized when one is fasting. So everything you can think of what one would abstain from verbally and physically outside the month of Ramadan, from avoiding confrontation, avoiding hollering and screaming, avoiding obscene, obnoxious behavior, and avoiding speech which is involving insults or insulting someone or cursing someone or raising your voice. All of those affairs is what's incumbent upon the sa'im, or the one who's fasting, while he's fasting. As we know, inshallah bi'idhnillah, as it comes in the Athar Abdullah, Jabir ibn Abdullah radiyallahu anhu, where Jabir ibn Abdullah had mentioned and said, وَإِذَا كَانَ صَوْمُكَ وَإِذَا كَانَ صَوْمُ يَوْمِكَ فَلْيَكُنْ عَلَيْهِ أو فَلْيَكُنْ عَلَيْكَ سَكِينَةٌ وَوَقَارٌ يَوْمَ صِيَامِهِ وَدَعْ أَذَى الْخَادِمِ وَلَا تَجْعَلْ يَوْمَ صِيَامِكَ وَفِطْرِكَ سَوَاءً. Until the end of the narration that Jabir ibn Abdullah that he mentioned. Well, Jabir ibn Abdullah radiyallahu anhu mentioned and said, he said, if it's the day of fasting for one of you, he says, let one be in a state of serenity. He said, فَلْيَكُنْ عَلَيْكَ سَكِينَةٌ وَبَقَارٌ. He says, for the siyam, or the day of fasting for one of you, then let him be in a very tranquil, serene manner. He's to the point where he even said, وَدَعْ أَذَا الْخَادِمِ. He said, leave off the harm of the one who might be servicing you or accommodating you in your household or what have you. So if that's the case in regards to those who are around you, then what about those who are like we said, from the common folk? This we'll discuss, inshallah. So everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made haram outside the month of Ramadan, physically, verbally, to the end of it, it is even more emphasized in the month of Ramadan. As the affair is even more what? Sacred, and it is more vital, especially while one is fasting. For one that falls into this act, as you'll find even the great Imam Shaykh Salih Fawzan, that he said, حفظ الله ورعاه, he said, ولا يؤمر بالقضاء صيامه صحيح في الظاهر لكن هو ناقص الأجر أو ليس فيه أجر بسبب هذه المحرمات التي ارتكبها وهو الصائم، ومنها ما هو في هذا الحديث من المحرمات التي يجب على الصائم اجتنابها ما ذكره في هذا الحديث. He says the type of category which we're discussing now, if one was to follow or fall into it, he's not been commanded to what? Make up his fast. His fast is correct, is valid in what is apparent. However, the reward is incomplete. Or he might not have any reward in it. He said because of these unlawful matters in which he committed while he was fasting. And from them is what the Messenger of Allah mentioned in this hadith, which is obligatory upon the sa'im, upon the one fasting, to abstain from and to stay far away from. And from it is what was mentioned in this narration here, where the Messenger of Allah said, من لم يدع قول الزور والعمل به والجهل فليس لله حاجة في أن يدع طعامه شرابه. Whoever doesn't leave off statements of evil, and likewise al-amal bihi, and actions. So when the Messenger of Allah that he mentioned the statement, what is pertaining to qawl az-zur. Excuse me, everyone, I forgot something. Just give me 1 second. Excuse me, almost forgot. Now, so what we said, Ya Ma'ash al-Ikhwa, in regards to Siyam, those matters that will break one's fast, and like we said, when the Messenger of Allah, of course we know eating and drinking. We'll talk about that in a second. That's the al-mufattirat al-hissiyya. That's going to come. But anyway, we're sticking to what is called al-mufattirat al-ma'nawiyya. Those affairs that breaks one's fast, but it's intangible. What we mean intangible, meaning that one cannot see or touch it. But it's there and it has an effect on one's what? Fast. For example, when the Messenger of Allah said here, qawl az-zur, statements of what? Evil. You'll find that the ai or the ulama, for those who are Ahl Ilm, al-mawthuq bi khabrihim al-mutadalli'in bi hadha al-fan, in which Ahl Ilm mention and say that the meaning of qawl az-zur, what is comprehensive of this meaning, which is what, everyone? Number one, such as unlawful speech. Unlawful speech means qawl az-zur. Al-kalam al-muharram is al-qawl az-zur, wa huwa min al-mufattirat al-ma'nawiyya. Likewise, ash-shatm, insulting someone. Insulting someone is also from this type of mufattirat, from these type of affairs that what? Well, that will diminish the reward of the one who's fasting. So as insult, ash-shatm, also sib, to also curse at someone, or insult someone, or backbiting, or tail carrying. All these affairs is from what they call qawl az-zur. It's from the statements of what? Az-zur, meaning of evil. You'll find, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, when it's also called qawl al-zur, meaning also qawl that is batil, that is free from any benefit and is false speech. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam prohibited this while one is fasting. And of course we know it's unlawful outside the month of Ramadan, but in the month it is even more emphasized that one leave it off. Not only verbally, but also likewise what everyone? Physically. Physically. It's even more what? Emphasized. By punching, hitting, fighting. These matters are what? Is similar to what? Is considered insulting one verbally, similar to what is physical. If that's with statements, then of course that the actions is even all more what? For all the more reason that one stay away from it. So it not only could be verbally, it could be well with actions likewise. For persons abstains from al-qawl al-zur, statements that are what? Evil verbally, and likewise, like we said, actions similar to that. So even the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as we know every year, what did the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mention and said? إذا كان صيام أحدكم إذا كان يوم الصيام أحدكم فلا يرفث ولا يسخب إن سابه أحد أو قاتل فليقل إني صائم إلى آخر الحديث. When the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, for any one of you is to be insulted, or either سابه أحد أو قاتل, or try to fight him, then let him say, verily I'm fasting, verily I'm fasting. So a person should walk away and abstain from what? Retaliation, or following up similar to what the person had given you. Not to go tit for tat, but rather to abstain and walk away in order to protect your siyam by losing out on the tremendous reward that Allah Ta'ala has prepared for the one who fasts for his cause and for him. Jalla Shadda. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? So we said, when the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had mentioned this, so it's not only just statements which are unlawful, but it's also what? If you notice in the hadith, it says what, everyone? Al-amal bihi. Also in actions. Al-amal al-muharram, li'an al-muharram qad yakunu bil-qawl, qad yakunu bil-fi'l. كالضرب والقتل والتعدي على الناس بالفعل. هذا من الزور لأنه بغير حق. He says, for example, in regards to actions like hitting someone, killing someone, attacking someone, transgressing against someone in one's actions, this is also likewise from a zur. This is also from evil without it being justified whatsoever. So when one now, like we said, abstains from this type of behavior while he's fasting. And when the Messenger of Allah that he mentioned said al-jahl, he said ignorance. But here ignorance, like we said, I'm sorry everyone, meaning unforbearing. That's the meaning of jahl here, unforbearing. Meaning he doesn't have that forbearance. Means adam al-hilm, meaning that he acts in a foolish manner, where he's not halim. He doesn't have that serenity or that tranquility. Rather, he's the opposite of that. He acts in like a foolish manner. So the Prophet ﷺ said, what everyone? He says, well, jahl, if you notice in an aeration. But like we said, the meaning of jahl here is not adam al-ilm. It's not void of knowledge. Rather, it means adam al-hilm, meaning not being unforbearing, meaning not being serene. Rather being what? Obnoxious, acting in a foolish manner. So what it means is what? As-safa. Like foolishness, or acting in a very vile, repugnant manner. So what is intended here, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, of jahl, is not what is the void of knowledge, rather it is what? That a person does something intentionally, or he does something that is acting in a foolish manner intentionally. There's an ayah where Allah Ta'ala says in his book, إِنَّمَا التَّوْبَةُ عَلَى اللَّهِ لِلَّذِينَ يَعْمَلُونَ السُّوءَ بِجَهَالَةٍ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in his book, verily tawbah is upon Allah for those who commit evil acts out of jahala. Notice Allah ta'ala didn't say jahal. He said jahala. Meaning people that have knowledge of what they're doing, but they still what? Do the act. And it's not out of ignorance. But they make tawbah as soon as they fall into the act. Ya ma'ashal ikhwa. So this is also to show that what? The word jahl also it can mean in certain instances not having knowledge, but however there's a certain instances and context where it can mean what? Where it can mean adam al-hilm, a person not having that serenity, rather he's acting in a foolish, despicable, if you want to say, in a disrespectable manner. For all this is part of what the message of Allah said in this context when he said jahl. That's what's intended here. So you'll find there's athar from the Salaf, and from them, at the head of them is Ali ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu anhu, where he said in that athar, he says, وَلَيْسُ الصِّيَامِ مِنَ الطَّعَامِ وَالشَّرَابِ وَلَكِنْ مِنَ الْكَذِبِ وَالْبَاطِلِ وَاللَّغْوِ. We already talked about that before. Where it's been mentioned in Musannaf ibn Abi Shaybah, that Ali ibn Abi Talib said, the siyam is not from food and drink, and that's it. He said, rather from lying, false speech, and also al-laghwi, meaning like impudent or speech with no benefit. Type of kadhib, al-batil, al-laghwi. Also, Abdullah ibn Umar radiyallahu anhu has said in a statement likewise. He says, إِنَّ عُرَى الدِّينِ وَقِوَامُهُ الصَّلَاةُ وَالزَّكَاةُ لَا يُفَرَّقُ بَيْنَهُمَا وَحَجُّ الْبَيْتِ وَالصِّيَامُ رَمَضَانِ وَإِنَّ مِنْ أَصْلَحِ الْأَعْمَالِ الصَّدَقَةُ وَالصِّيَامُ. As Abdullah ibn Umar has said in another tremendous statement, he said, verily the bonds of the religion, that which bonds the religion, it keeps it bonded, in the عُرَى الدِّينِ. He says, وَقِيَامُهُ الصَّلَاةُ وَالزَّكَاةُ. He says, verily the bonds of the religion and what makes it stand is the salah and zakah. And he says, and it's not what? Differentiated between them. He says, then Hajj of Allah Ta'ala in Ramadan and the Siyam of Ramadan. Excuse me, I'm sorry everyone. Hajj al-Bayt, making Hajj to the Bayt al-Haram in Makkah, I'm sorry. And also Siyam of Ramadan. Then Abdullah ibn Umar had mentioned and said in the last part, verily from the most aslah al-a'mal, as-sadaqah was-siyam. For verily from the most rectifiable manners, meaning that will rectify affairs and aid one individual in his actions, is giving charity and likewise fasting. Now here's the statement of Jabir bin Abdullah radiyallahu anhu. Jabir bin Abdullah said in another statement, which has also been collected, it's also been collected in Al-Bukhari and Muslim. Where Jabir bin Abdullah had mentioned, إِذَا صُمْتَ فَلْيَصُمْ سَمْعُكَ وَبَصَرُكَ وَلِسَانُكَ عَنِ الْكَذِبِ وَالْمَآثَمْ وَدَعْ أَذَى الْخَادِمِ وَلْيَكُنْ عَلَيْكَ وَقَارٌ وَالسَّكِينَةٌ يَوْمَ صِيَامِكَ وَلَا تَجْعَلْ يَوْمَ صِيَامِكَ وَفِطْرِكَ سَوَاءً. Listen to the statement of Jabir bin Abdullah, the great Sahabi. He says, if you fast, then let your ears and your sight and your tongue fast from kadhib, from Kitab al-Siyam. Kitab al-Siyam. I don't know which page in this book. Can someone show me? Please, I don't have that copy. I don't have that copy. إِذَا صُمْتَ فَلْيَصُمْ سَمْعُكَ وَبَصَرُكَ وَلِسَانُكَ عَنِ الْكَذِبِ. And this goes exactly what the statement of the Prophet ﷺ said here. Jabir bin Abdullah, the great Sahaba, he says, if you fast, he says, then let your ears and your eyes and your tongue fast. What does he mean by that, brothers? Meaning from lying, evil actions, evil speech. He says, and stay away from harming the khadim. Stay away from harming the one who accommodates you, who services you. He says, and let it be upon you on the day while you're fasting, serenity, tranquility on the day while you're fasting. Do not make the day while you're fasting and the day when you're breaking it equal. So you find that Jabir bin Abdullah radiyallahu anhu said in this tremendous statement. Likewise, there's another statement of Abu Dharr. This is not Jabir. There's another statement on the authority of Abu Dharr radiyallahu anhu. He said, إِذَا صُمْتَ فَتَحَفَّظْ مَا اسْتَطَعْتَ. There's another statement on the authority of Abu Dharr. He says, if you fast, then protect it as much as you're able. So you find, ya ma'ash al-ikhwa, that in which with the Salaf, with our upon, you'll find that a lot of them used to find and deem it to be what? Easy, as far as abstaining from food and drink. The hard part, or the test really manifests itself in the actualization of what we're discussing now in this narration. That's where you'll find the difficulty, in which a lot of people forget, especially when those who are fasting. They think it's just abstaining from food and drink, and that's it. And abstaining from being intimate with a spouse during the day, and abstaining from food and drink. Alhamdulillah, I've done what is wajib. Not taking consideration the other affair in which some people are heedless or inadvertent of, which is what the Messenger of Allah said in that particular narration here. He said what? To the point where the Messenger of Allah said that whoever doesn't leave it off, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not in need of his what? His food and his drink. There's another narration which we'll discuss inshallah, where the Prophet also mentioned, we'll bring the narrations, where he mentioned and also likewise said, he said, رُبَّ صَائِمَ لَيْسَ لَهُ مِنْ صِيَامِهِ إِلَّا الْجُوعِ وَالْعَطَشِ. He said, how many people who fast, they did not have anything of the fast, meaning no reward, except mere food, starvation and thirst. That's it. Meaning they didn't benefit from it, because they lost out on the actual reward, because of not taking consideration the other affairs in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likewise wants us to abstain from. The duration of the time while we're fasting, which is what, everyone? Which is abstaining from evil speech, unacceptable behavior, or insults, or cursing one, or any type of type of speech which is evil, and likewise in actions. Abstaining from what is haram, which is pertaining to the eyes, the ears, the tongue, and also likewise the body parts. Especially if during the day of Ramadan, in which one has to try to protect his fast, whether it be looking at something or listening to something, or opening something that he should not be looking at all, or what have you. What is done intentionally. Something that's done unintentionally, that's something different. But something that's done intentionally is what will be held accountable for. That Allah Ta'ala says that He does not hold Allah yu'akhidhukum Allah bima أخطأتم به قلوبكم ما أخطأتم به ولكن ما تعمدت قلوبكم. That's the ayah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, He didn't hold you accountable for what? Of course, what you've done out of mistake. However, what your heart's intended. Out of what your heart's intended. So what is done out of mistake, whether it be a glance at a woman you didn't mean to look at, or something of people driving music down the street you didn't intend to listen to, or something of smoke in the air, or weed in the air you just happen to walk by, or things of that nature. Those things does not affect your fast whatsoever, because it was what? Unintentionally what? It was unintentionally done. So those affairs doesn't affect it. But however, what your heart intended is what will affect your siyam. So the narration it says, وَرُبَّ قَائِمَ وَرُبَّ الصَّائِمَ لَيْسَ لَهُ مِنْ صِيَامِهِ إِلَّا الْجُوعُ وَالْعَطَشِ وَرُبَّ قَائِمَ لَيْسَ لَهُ مِنْ صِيَامِهِ إِلَّا السَّهَرِ. And how many people that stands in the night, he said you'll find that they will have nothing of reward except they just merely being what? Exhausted and tired. That's it. Why? Because they're not trying to contemplate the reward of trying to have that strong will and desire in order to attain the reward from Allah. So they're just doing it, but they're not really trying to look forward to anything of reward, nor do they care. Either not doing it out of ihtisab, seeking a reward with Allah, or just doing it just to soak alayh, let's just get it done and khalas. Alhamdulillah, it's done there, keep it moving. No. Out of doing it for seeking the pleasure of Allah and worshiping Allah, and knowing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is prepared a tremendous reward for this noble, honorable act in which the mu'min draws close to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala by. For that which we say, Ya ma'ash al-ikhwa, this hadith is tremendous, in which it lays down the first category of what the ulama consider of breaking one's fast, that is in regards to affairs that's intangible, such as evil speech, which is verbally or physically, or not being forbearing and not being tranquil, not being serene, rather acting in a very disrespectful and demeaning manner, unpraiseworthy manner, will also likewise diminish the reward until the point where one will not have any reward with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the hereafter if he falls into it. However, does one stop fasting and break his siyam? We say no. If one was to fall into looking at a girl walking down the street while he's fasting, he still continues his fast. He does not break his fast. I saw a look at a girl, or I heard some music in the car. A'udhu billah. All right, let me just break my fast and eat and drink the rest of the day. No, that's not the meaning of the hadith. The meaning of what we're talking about, what they call mufattirat al-ma'nawiyya, is that it can diminish your reward to the point as if, notice I keep saying, as if you did not what? Fast. But you still continue to what? Fast, and it suffices for the responsibility or the duty for that day. You understand, everyone? So if he falls into it, he continues to do it. Rather, you'll find from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His mercy of how to repair that type of khalal, or that type of infringement, or that incompleteness that might have crept in one's siyam. You know how one repairs it? He repairs it through, number one, of course, what comes at the end of the month, which is zakat al-fitr. The zakat al-fitr was legislated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in order to repair what might have crept in one's siyam of different types of discrepancies, or some type of incompleteness, or something of speech that was done that one shouldn't have said, or some type of act that he shouldn't have did. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows one to what? Make up these matters and follow it up. Those little types of what? Spaces where one came up short in by the zakat al-fitr. You'll find in a lot of ibadat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows one, as far as in the wajibat, of what might have crept into it, of something, of a discrepancy, meaning either, for example, in the salawat, of course we know, if his mind might have wandered, or someone's mind might have drifted off, or he didn't have his khushu', or he did not have his tranquility as he should have, or something might have came over his mind as a thought, and it busied them from focusing on the salat. All those things will diminish the reward in the prayer. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows us to what? Another chance to fill in those what? Those blanks, which is by the sunan. And that's the reason why a lot of people should try to start what? Practicing their sunan likewise. Because those are very important. How many of us, we pray and our concentration gets thrown off? How many of us we pray, we have things going on in our lives, and it might what? Sometimes throw our minds off or our concentration off. So we need something to fill in those blanks, so those little type of discrepancies in which had crept in the salat. And Allah gives us that what? Opportunity by performing those superioratory what? Prayers. In which a lot of people, they say, oh, I have to do that as long as I did my 5, I'm good. No, you should never look at it like that. Maybe those 5 prayers that you prayed, your concentration was thrown off. Something of showing off might have crept up into it. Something of your mind might have wandered off and drifted off while you were doing it. All those things cause what? The reward to be diminished in the salah. Shaitan might have crept in the ranks due to the fact that people don't these days get an attitude when you tell them to straighten the ranks. It's as if it's a burden. I don't know how it's a burden so much. People act like straightening the ranks is just a burden, so hard. I'm like, oh, this is just straightening your feet, your shoulders. What's so hard about that? People ask, subhanAllah, the things that causes us to be closer to Allah, we find like a hardship in it for some odd reason. I don't know what it is. For example, those type of narrations is ordered to aid us in our worship. Because like when you say, what we said, when you straighten the ranks, it causes the shaitan not to creep in the middle so he can what? Throw your mind off. You'll find that they say from the benefits of the salah, of why we need to close the cracks in the ranks as much as possible, because it keeps shaitan from getting inside of our minds and throwing it off and making us start thinking about other things. When you close those gaps off, it doesn't allow the shaitan to come in the middle, in which he's able to make your mind drift, or make your mind drift off to somewhere else, or make you think about something else while you're praying. Because all those things, like you said, will be a reason for your what? Your reward becoming incomplete and will diminish. So you'll find a lot of ibadat, from siyam, salat, and a lot of other different types of ibadat, you'll find that Allah Ta'ala always makes those type of supererogatory or voluntary prayers after a tremendous worship in order to what? In order to fill in those affairs in which one might have fell into, coming up short in which He gives you an opportunity to what? To complete it still. Because we know on the day of resurrection, Allah Ta'ala, likewise, after the slave might have done something in which his obligatory actions were rejected. May Allah Ta'ala preserve us. Then He will say, look to what? Look to those voluntary acts that he did. That was voluntary. See what he has in order to fill in what was not acceptable. you'll find in which Allah Ta'ala will say to the angels on the day of resurrection. So brothers and sisters, these affairs of supererogatory or voluntary prayers, once you gotta try to do them. And stop thinking like, khalas, I prayed my 5, I'm good for the day. We should never look at it like that. Always look to try to do more, as much as he's able. It's not to stop thinking, oh, I did what was wajib, khalas, I'm good. Sticking to what is what? Is wajib is the utmost of importance, no doubt. But also likewise, keep in mind we're human beings, and our mind drifts, and our mind floats, and we have a lot of things on our mind, and then when in our prayers, we think about things. And sometimes we catch ourselves like, woo, wow, like I was just thinking about something else that fast. That's how shaitan quick he is. For that reason, we're given an opportunity to what? To fill in those blanks, which is, like we said, the voluntary prayers. In regards to siyam, it's in regards to zakat al-fitr. Zakat al-fitr, and also likewise those other voluntary siyam, which Allah Ta'ala has legislated after the month, which is a Shawwal. And other types of acts, which will allow Allah Ta'ala to have His mercy upon us, whereas He will fill in those little gaps in which we came up short in. So that's the reason why, like we said, in regards to these matters of the siyam, don't forget, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, a lot of people in the month of Ramadan just think it's just restricted them drinking and eating and abstaining from that, and that's it. Like we said, the hardest and the most test upon a mu'min is abstaining from evil behavior and evil speech and acting in a very disrespectable, unacceptable manner. That is the hardest, and that is the test. You understand what I'm saying, everyone? Keeping one's serenity and keeping his keeping his staying, keeping in what's what I'm looking for? Staying in his right state where he's not going outside of that tranquil, serene manner that he's supposed to have while he's fasting. And even when he stops fasting. One should try to allow himself and allow his demeanor to be at ease at all times. As a mu'min, like we said, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, especially men, person he's at ease, he's tranquil, he's laid back. Men talk when they're supposed to talk. And then they're quiet when they're supposed to be quiet. Women are a little bit more emotional. But the men are not supposed to have that characteristic. In which a lot of men these days are like that. They're very emotional. They talk very emotional, they're very dramatic. And then when we find out why our women are even more on another level with it. They'll find that the brothers have those characteristics. I don't know if it's because in this society, a lot of us were raised by our mothers. I don't know what it is. But for a reason that the men have to try to change that type of characteristic. Which is not to be so quick in hell, or if you want to say, so quick to be so retaliation, to want to retaliate, to be argumentative, to always want to argue, to always want to be quick-tempered, to always want to just argue and always want to bicker and go back and forth. These things are characteristics of women. Ya ma'ashal ikhwa. So siyam is to teach us the opposite. To thus be tranquil and to be ease and be laid back and be serene. So I wanted to get back also in regards to what was pertaining to what we discussed last time. Alhamdulillah, I found the narration in which I promised the brothers. Remember I told everyone that in regards to the siyam, in which the Prophet ﷺ prescribed it as a sunan, that a person needs to start from Fajr. But in regards to just an abrupt type of siyam, where one's supposed to do it in the middle of the day, then he doesn't need his niyyah for Fajr, right? It can be start in the middle of the day or any time during the day, as long as he did not eat or drink anything. We discussed that, the 3 types of categories. We discussed that a couple of weeks ago. Right, everyone? I found what Shaykh Uthaymeen said, because I was wanted to find it. Alhamdulillah, I found the fatwa. He says, إِذَا أَصْبَحَ الْإِنسَانُ وَعَلَيْهِ الْجَنَابَةِ. Oh, that's the other one. Here it is. He says, صِيَامَ النَّفَلْ جَائِزِ إِذَا نَوَاهُ فِي أَثْنَاءِ النَّهَارِ بِشَرْطٍ أَنْ لَا يَكُونَ أَكَلَ أَوْ شَرِبَ بَعْدَ الْفَجْرِ وَأَنْ لَا يَكُونَ قَدْ قَيَّدَ بِصَوْمِ يَوْمٍ. He says, as far as the voluntary fast, that's the 3rd category we talked about last class. Does everybody remember? The 3rd category. See, this is the reason why these are classes, these are not lectures. This is the reason why you go back to your notes, you find what I said. I talked about it last class, a couple of weeks ago. Siyam an-nafal. It's permissible for one to make the niyyah during the day. That abrupt type of fast. With the condition, as long as he did not what? Eat or drink after Fajr. As long as he did not what? Listen to what he says. As long as it's not restricted, what they call Somu Yom. Somu Yom. What is Somu Yom? For example, 6 days of Shawwal. Or 3 days of the 3 days out of every month. For verily, he says he has to make his niyyah to start his fast before what? Before Fajr. So it can be counted as a complete day. What is the Sheikh talking about? We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Huh? We don't have time to re-emphasize it. We just had to tell the brothers to go back to the note. But anyway, what we discussed is that we have 3 types of siyam. You have siyam which is wajib. Siyam which is what? Which is called the siyam which is sunan. It's not obligatory, but the Prophet ﷺ highly recommended that we do it every month or whatever, or whether it be from Mondays to Thursdays or 3 days of Ayyam al-Bid or the white days of the 13th to 14th to 15th according to the Hijri calendar. Those type of siyam or those type of fast needs to be started from Fajr. You cannot do it during the middle of the day. Then we had the third category of siyam like we talked about, which is what? Siyam that is voluntary, which one can do it abruptly. Where, for example, as it comes upon the morning, the sun came up, he didn't eat or drink yet, or he wasn't intimate with his spouse, of course. Then if he says, for example, I changed my niyyah, I want to do a quick voluntary fast, not a quick voluntary fast, but a voluntary fast in order to take advantage of my day in fasting, then he can do that. But so we said that's an abrupt fast. Why did the Shaykh say that, and why did he make this differentiation between the second category and the third? Why? He said because when a person, for example, he wants to fast 3 days from every month, voluntary. For example, the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever fasts the 13th to 14th to 15th, which is called Ayyam al-Bid, the white days, right everyone? A person now that starts it in the middle of the day, one of those days of Ayyam al-Bid, just to say one out of those 3 days he started from Dhuhr. After he completed that day, is he considered that he fast a complete 3 days? Or did he fast 2.5 days? He didn't fast 3 days, which is the 13th, 14th, 15th completely. He only fasted 2.5 days of the Ayyam al-Bid, which is not complete. So it's not considered those 3 days of the reward that you was what? Seeking. Like for example, also likewise, after the month of Ramadan, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, said, whoever fasts 6 days whoever fasts the month of Ramadan, then follow it up with 6 days of Shawwal, it's actually fast the whole time. طيب. A person now that says, khalas, I want to apply this hadith, I want to start in the middle of the day for 6 days straight. I'm going to come upon the morning, I don't need a niyyah, I want to start after 2 o'clock. I want to start my siyam then. He only fast 5.5 days. He didn't fast 6 days. So it's said here that he didn't fast what? 6 days of Shawwal. So that's the reason why in order for it to be considered the day in which the Messenger of Allah ﷺ had described, then he has to start it from Fajr all the way up to what? To the time when the sun goes down. That's the reason why those prescribed fasts, not prescribed fasts, but those highly recommended fasts, one should start at Fajr to when the sun goes down. Not in regards to what? An abrupt fast, which is the third category that we mentioned. Abrupt fast is just any type of what? Abrupt fast that one wants to do in the middle of the day with the condition that we said, what everyone? That he did not eat and drink. Certain people call it white days, and I heard certain people call it the white nights. I don't know how they translate it, but if literally translated, it's Ayyam al-Bid, the days of white days. That's how they literally translate Ayyam al-Bid, because Bid or Abyad in Arabic means white. Not necessarily. It's just saying that there's the 13th to 14th to 15th. I don't know why, for the reason. I have to check. Those are days where it's full? It might be. Allahu A'lam. You might be right. I'm not saying you're wrong, Sheikh. You might be right more than likely. But 13th, 14th, 15th, those are according to the Hijri calendar. A lot of people think it's the Gregorian calendar. They look on the Gregorian calendar, 13th, 14th, 15th. No. You have to go by the what? The Hijri calendar. 13th, 14th, 15th, if one was to do Ayyam Bid, has to be according to the Hijri calendar. Don't forget that. That's very important. A lot of people think it's by the Gregorian calendar. No. Was it by what everyone? Hijri calendar. Jayyid. So based upon that, now I think we can get inside of what is called the affairs that invalidates one siyam. So we can get into that now. We can get into that right now. The affairs that invalidates one's siyam. Notice that we talked about what everyone? The first category, we kind of reversed it, but no problem. The first category is in this hadith that we just discussed on Abu Hurairah, right everyone? But the Prophet ﷺ mentioned and said, whoever doesn't leave off statements of evils and actions, and also being unforbearing, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not in need of his food and drink. We also discussed the meaning of Allah is not in need. We talked about that statement. Right everyone? Did we discuss that last class? We said that the meaning of the hadith is that this is the siyam that Allah does not want. This is not the fast that Allah wants. Meaning the siyam that the slave of Allah might have indulged in of evil, foul speech or behavior or actions. This siyam is not what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants. You understand everyone? So it's not just enough for food and drink. Also likewise, like we said, and it's highly emphasized to abstain from their what? Their evil behavior. And don't forget the statement of Jabir bin Abdullah that we mentioned and said a couple of minutes ago. With Jabir bin Abdullah, the great Sahabi, that he said, فَإِذَا صُمْتْ فَلْيَصُمْ سَمْعُكَ وَبَصْرُكَ وَلِسَانُكَ عَنِ الْكَذِبِ وَالْمَآثِمِ وَدَعَّ ذَا الْخَادِمِ. He says, وَلْيَكُنْ عَلَيْكَ يَوْمَ صَوْمِكَ وَقَارٌ وَسَكِينَةٌ يَوْمَ صِيَامِكَ وَلَا تَجْعَلْ يَوْمَ صِيَامِكَ وَفِطْرِكَ سَوَاء. To the end of the narration. Where Jabir bin Abdullah said in that tremendous narration again, where he said, the great Sahabi, the great companion of the Message of Allah, Jabir bin Abdullah, he says, if you fast, then let your tongue, your sight, and your ears fast. فَلْيَكُنْ and your tongue. I said, your tongue. فَلْيَصُمْ سَمْعُكَ وَبَصَرُكَ وَلِسَانُكَ. Let your hearing fast, your eyes fast, and your tongue fast. He says from lying, min al-kadhib wal-ma'athim. From lying and also what? Ma'athim, and sin, and evil. Whether it be verbally or what? Physically. He says, وَدَعَ أَذَا الْخَادِمِ. Leave off harming the one who services you. Meaning anyone who's around you. Leave off harming them. He says, and let it be upon you that tranquility and that serenity while you're fasting, or the day while you're fasting. And he said to do not make the day you're fasting the day when you break it equal. So, ya ma'ash al-ikhwa, that's the first category of what? Of what they call the affairs that breaks one's fast, that is intangible. It was asked the great Imam Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal Shaybani, Abu Abdullah, Imam Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, that he was asked, does ghiba and namima, or these affairs, break your fast? He says, وَلَوْ كَانَ الْأَمْرِ كَذَلِكَ مَا بَقِيَ لَنَا الصِّيَامِ. هذا معنى كلام الإمام أحمد طبعا. هذا معنى نص كلامه رحمه الله. At any rate, Imam Ahmad had mentioned the statement. He says, does namima, ghiba, or these affairs, does it break one's fast? He says that if that was the case, he said that none of us will what? It wouldn't be left for any of us fasting. You understand, everyone? So this is a clear indication that what? It doesn't nullify the siyam. So why do the ulama use the word mufattir? Why is it considered something that breaks the fast? Meaning it can diminish the reward to the point where it's as if you didn't even what? As if you didn't even fast in the first place. Not to say that it literally what breaks the fast. Whereas if you fall into something, let's just say, like we talked about a couple of minutes ago, let's just say you said something mean to someone. Yeah, you stupid idiot. Khalas, I broke my fast. You understand, everyone? Like, you stupid fool. First of all, we're not supposed to act like that at any rate. You're not supposed to talk to anyone like that, no matter who it is. You understand, everyone? You stupid fool, you make me sick, you stupid idiot. You start raising your voice, you're cursing. Oh man, I broke my fast. That's what it means, the hadith? No, that's not what it means. But like we said, that type of behavior will what? Diminish your reward. And if you keep doing these type of acts, it can diminish it until there's nothing left of reward till you fall into the narration where the Prophet ﷺ said, وَرُبَّ الصَّائِمَ لَيْسَ لَهُ مِنْ صِيَامِهِ إِلَّا الْجُوعُ وَالْعَطَشِ. In another narration it says, وَرُبَّ الصَّائِمَ حَظُّهُ مِنْ صِيَامِهِ الْجُوعُ وَالْعَطَشِ. It's two narrations. One hadith of Abu Hurairah. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, he says, how many people have fast? And they had nothing of their fasting except just mere hunger and thirst. Or in another narration it says, وَرُبَّ الصَّائِمَ حَظُّهُ مِنْ صِيَامِهِ الْجُوعُ وَالْعَطَشِ. He says, you'll find how many people are fasting that their only portion of their fasting was just mere what? Food, starvation and thirst. Or hunger and thirst. You understand, everyone? So, that's the first category of that which breaks the fast, which is intangible. But like we said, keep in mind, because the reason why I had to keep repeating over and over again, because I don't want somebody to come in the month of Ramadan and said, no, AbdurRazzaaq, I look at a woman and I broke my fast. And I had to start over again, and I ate and drank. And I said, Akhi, that's not what I said in the class. The class meaning the reason why the ulama use the word mufattirat, what breaks the fast, is because it diminishes the reward. Not because it cuts the siyam. It diminishes it. And if that type of behavior if one consists to do or is consistently doing it, it can be as if to the point where as if you did not what? Fast. So that's the reason why it's called mufattirat ma'nawiyya. Is it clear, Dawood? So if you might get upset, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not test you with while you're fasting, don't say, oh khalas, I got angry, I got upset, I'm breaking my fast. You understand? I got upset with my wife. My wife made me holler at her, I broke my fast. You understand? Everyone's not the meaning. However, like we said, if one loses it, you are now exposing your siyam for its reward being diminished. And like we said, it can be to the point where Allah ta'ala, like we said, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow our siyam to be accepted, but we do not want to expose our siyam to something where it will be a means for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not accepting it from us. Is it clear, everyone? So the next type of affairs now is the second category, which is what they call mufattirat hissiyah, what breaks your fast, which is hissi. Hissi. What is hissi? I mean, it's tangible by the senses. You can see it, you can smell it, you can touch it, you can feel it. Is it clear? Or you can even hear it. That's what they call it, hissi. Mufattirat hissiyah. That's the second category. Hissiyah. Affairs will break your fast, which is what? Tangible. It's tangible. You can see it. You can touch it. You can taste it. As we know, how many senses a person supposed to have? 5, right? What's it called? Seeing, smelling, tasting, touching. What's the other? Hearing? And hearing. So that's why they call it hissi. I mean, it's done by the senses. Ihsas or hawas. You'll find they call it al-hawasul khamsa. The 5 senses. You notice how it's all connected. The words. Hissi. It's tangible by the senses. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? And I think that's clear. So that which invalidates the siyam, for example, which is hissi, from that is intercourse with one's wife or spouse. Of course, we know that what? Will break your fast. Eating, drinking will break the fast. One intentionally allowing sperm or ejaculation to take place. Intentionally. Why I keep saying intentionally? Because what's done unintentionally, one is not what? Held accountable for. A person would say, how can a sperm emanate from a person or come out of a man unintentionally? What dream? What dream? What dream a person, if it happens, then what? Siyam is still valid. He continues to do it. He continues to fast. Is it clear? That's the reason why I said, notice that I said that a couple of minutes ago. Intentionally. Intentionally. Is it clear? Huh? One making sperm come out intentionally will break his fast with desire. With desire. If sperm comes out intentionally with desire, breaks your fast. And notice I said sperm. I did not say, or notice I said semen. See, sperm. Semen. And I did not say, which we'll discuss, inshallah, pre-seminal discharge. Which they say, for the lack of better words, pre-cum. That's not what it is. It's called pre-seminal discharge. Pre-seminal discharge. Notice sometimes you have to use the words, because if I say pre-seminal discharge, some people really don't know what I'm talking about. What is the pre-seminal discharge? What's that? Pre-cum. I think that's clear now, right? Type. Pre-seminal discharge. That does not break your fast. We'll talk about that, inshallah. Does not. Pre-seminal discharge does not break the fast. We'll talk about that in a minute. Any rate, intercourse, eating, drinking, one force or by intention or intentionally allowing sperm to come out with desire. Sperm. I did not say pre-seminal discharge. Or what is the meaning of eating and drinking? The meaning of eating and drinking. What is the meaning of eating and drinking? By ways of what they call needles. What's injected inside of the what? Of one's vein or his arm or the muscle by a needle. We'll talk about that inshallah. That breaks the fast. If one suffices by using it for nutrients for the body. Where a person is able, for example, I don't feel like eating and drinking, I can just put this in my vein. That will suffice for eating and drinking. If it carries that meaning, then what? It breaks the fast. If it does not carry that meaning, and one is supposed to go back to the doctor and ask him. For the people who are specialists in this, is the doctors who are reliable. If it has nutrients in it, and you inject it inside of your arm, and you suffice with that, and it gives nutrients to the body, breaks the fast. That's the reason why I said meaning of eating and drinking. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? But what also breaks the fast is forcing oneself to throw up intentionally. Intentionally. Notice I keep using the words. I'm being very precise in the words that I'm choosing. Intentionally. Because if you used to walk down the street, you felt a nasty smell, or something repugnant smell, and you just happen to throw up. You felt your stomach getting queasy. You threw up. Did you break your fast? We say no. Because you did not do it intentionally. You understand, everyone? Is it clear what I'm saying so far? So, one, intentionally vomiting. Intentionally vomiting will break your fast. Intentionally. Vomiting. Also, likewise, what breaks one's fast, even though it has a severe khilaf of difference of opinion, and you'll find the majority of al-ilm says you should stay away from it, which is what? Which is practicing cupping while you're fasting. Do not expose yourself to khilaf. This issue has a big khilaf in it. Where the points, as they say, تَتَجَاذَبُ فِيهَا الْأَدِلَّةُ بَيْنَ الطَّرَفَيْنِ. You'll find that the evidences from both sides are pulling each other like this. That's how strong the khilaf is. Yes. Getting cupped while you're fasting. Cupped. I think everybody knows what cupping is, right? Getting cupped. Moving the bad blood out of your body. It's a form of a remedy in which America keeps hidden. They don't want nobody to practice that because they know that the medical field, they know they're going to lose millions and millions of dollars if people start practicing this again. Cupping. Cupping is a tremendous, strong form of remedy. To the point where the Prophet ﷺ said that he went up to the heavens and he passed by. He did not pass by a group of angels except that they say, "Oh Muhammad, mur ummataka bil hijama." Oh Muhammad, command your ummah to practice the hijama. The angels said that to the Prophet ﷺ. And that narration is authentic because I studied it in school. You understand, everyone? So the hijama is a tremendous what? It's a tremendous remedy to remove a lot of different ailments of the body. In which, alhamdulillah, I've done it probably maybe 8 times. On my head and certain parts of my body, my knees, things like that. It's tremendous. Changed my life dramatically when I actually did it. It moves the bad blood and allows the new blood to be formed inside of that part where the ailment is. And it takes away a lot of different things in the body. Headaches, bad problems in your knees, arthritis, you name it. It helps. And this in which America does not want one to what? They don't want nobody practicing that here. Because it will allow them, it would make them lose millions and millions of dollars. And if you notice that they never advertise black seed, you notice that they never advertise it. Never. Shh. Don't ever let that get out. Those remedies are natural remedies which will heal people. They know that. That's why they don't want people what? Being involved in it. They want you to stay addicted to those what? Those chemical-based medicines, which comes with more side effects, and probably the side effects of it sometimes is more detrimental than the actual sickness you was cured from as a result of it. In some cases. So at any rate, that's a side point. But the hijama, hold on for 1 second, Abdul Balta. So for what we want to say is that in regards to now cupping upon what a lot of Ahl Ilm say, and like we said, this affair has major khilaf in it, is fasting, getting cupped while one is fasting. So it's better for one just to abstain from it until the sun goes down, then what? Get cupped. Also likewise, what invalidates one's siyam is, of course, the woman's mens and postnatal bleeding. If a woman is on what they call istihada, and the women know exactly what I'm talking about, they still can fast and pray. Istihada. Istihada is a what? It's a vein that is broke. It's kind of like a hemorrhage. But it's not a fat. It's not a what? It's not a mens. It's something else. And in that case, a woman will still have to fast and pray. But at any rate, postnatal bleeding, and also likewise, a woman's mens also will what? Invalidates her fast. Is it correct? Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Tafadhal ya Abdul Balta.
The cupping, is it actually blood comes out?
No.
Bad blood?
Yep, absolutely. Blood comes out. What they do is they take a suction cup. Well, then in the old days, they used to take something hot and suction. Some people certain here in the States still practice, especially in the South. They do this. They cup. They do it. Especially in the South. It's real still used to this day from people in the South, southern part of America. It's a suction cup. They poke the dots. Not exactly. They take the suction cup and they put a match inside of it. The match inside of the container becomes like a vacuum. So they stick it on there to the part where you need the treatment done. You getting me sidetracked. I'm trying to get ready for Ramadan. But at any rate, you put it on the wound and it starts sucking the part where it's at. So it sucks it so you see your skin start to get a little lumpy because all the blood is coming to the top of where it is. Then you take it off, then you poke little dots in it and the blood starts coming out. Then you take the suction cup and put it back on there, all the blood starts coming out. Starts coming out. You'll see nasty, black, nasty, filthy blood coming out. Coming out where if there's so-called a problem there, it starts coming out. So what it is you're removing the bad blood in order now for the bone marrow, the blood, to your body to form new blood in that area. So that will help be as a result of it healing properly. The new way now is they don't even use the match anymore. They use the suction cup where you can pump it. You take it, pump it, and you see your skin to where it's coming. It's getting where the blood is coming to the surface of the skin. Pump it, then they take it off. You go on YouTube. Matter of fact, everybody go on YouTube, put on cupping, you'll see it. So certain people say it's nasty, but it is a tremendous remedy that will help heal your body. I've done it before, and it has helped me in a lot of ways. But is the time called you then already? Everybody closing their books? Ali, you just gonna call it? Oh. السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. Like I said, the angels had even commanded, said, O Messenger, he says, "Oh Muhammad, command your ummah to use hijama." Like I said, there's a couple of people that know how to do it, but it's not prevalent like it should be. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. I didn't do it. I got it performed on me, but I didn't do it on anybody.
No, you said
When I say I did it, meaning I had it performed on me. I'm sorry. I had it performed on me. شنو أنا محمد رسول الله حول ولا قوة معنوي ولا شنو أنا محمد رسول الله حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. طيب المفطرات, or those matters that will break your fast, which are tangible, it doesn't invalidate your siyam except with three conditions. Write this down. So number one is having knowledge. This is still two. This is all talking about the second category. First one is having ilm. These are very important. Knowledge, being in a state of remembrance, and intentionally doing it. Those are very important that you need to know in fasting. Those three words, which is ilm, dhikr, and qasd. Knowledge, state of remembrance, and intentionally doing it. Or having the niyyah to intentionally do it. Qasd means intentionally having the intention to do it, to intentionally do something. Second category still. So the person has to be what? Knowledgeable of al-hukm al-shar'i. He has to be knowledgeable of the actual ruling itself. You'll find narrations of the Prophet ﷺ, where some of the Sahaba from them was Adi ibn Hatim. What happened was, of course, we know when he put the white thread and the black thread and he tied it. And I think in some of the narrations it said he tied it around their legs. When he put the black thread and the white thread, why are you sitting over there in the corner laying there? Mm-hmm. Oh, well, you can wait here. You can wait here. All right. Tell you. Those three conditions, such as one of being what? Knowledgeable of the actual ruling of what happened with Adi ibn Hatim, where he tied those, we took those two threads, one was black and one was white. In one narration of the tafsir is said that was what? That he tied it around his legs. And he looked to see whether or not if the one that was white would become distinct from the one that was black. And we know what the Messenger of Allah meant by the narration was what, everyone? He meant the whiteness of the day and the whiteness of the night, not actual two threads that you tie around your legs. The point of the matter why we're saying this is because when a person has knowledge, he didn't have knowledge of the affair. He misunderstood it. So he kept looking and looking and looking until even when the sun came up. And that's when he started his fast. Until when he went to the Messenger of Allah, he saw the Messenger of Allah, the white thread had become clear to me from the black thread. And the Messenger of Allah said in one narration that he joked with him. The Messenger of Allah joked, he says, Inna qafaka idan la arid. He says, man, he said, basically your back, he says, man, if that's the case, then he says, you got a wide back. Or you have like a wide body, like to the point where he's basically saying the distance of the east and the west. Because he said, verily that was his intended is what, everyone? The blackness of the blackness of the night, and the what? And the whiteness of the day. Of the distance, of course, from the east and the west and to that nature. So he said that verily you're what? In the qafa'aka idhan la'arid, as it says in one narration. He said verily your back hence is very wide. Meaning that's a long, distinct back you have in order to see. So the message of Allah, the point why we're saying knowledge, because even though Adi ibn Abi Hatim fell into this, and he was ignorant of the ruling, the message of Allah never commanded him to make a siyam. He did command him to make a siyam. No, he didn't. He was ignorant. He didn't know. He didn't command him to make a siyam. So that's the right reason why he's saying that the person had to be what? Knowledgeable of the ruling. He has to be knowledgeable. He has to have ilm. So that's the first thing. Especially in the ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, رَبَّنَا لَا تُؤَاخِذْنَا إِن نَسِينَا أَوْ أَخْطَأْنَا. And also the ayah that Allah ta'ala has mentioned, وَلَيْسَ عَلَيْكُمْ جُنَاحٌ فِيمَا أَخْطَأْتُمْ بِهِ وَلَكِنْ مَا تَعَمَّدَتْ قُلُوبُكُمْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "O our Lord, verily do not hold us accountable of what? Do not hold us accountable for what we forgot, or what we done out of forgetfulness, or what we done out of mistake." And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قَدْ فَعِلْتُ, verily I've done it. In another ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, there's nothing upon you of sin, of what you done out of mistake, however, what your hearts had intended. Of what your hearts what? Intended. So first and foremost, they didn't have what? Knowledge of the affair. The person, or what happened with Adi ibn Abi Hatim. So not only was he ignorant of the hukum, you'll also find there's another category where Ahl Ilm say what they call being ignorant of the time. That's also very important. So I'm still talking about what? The ilm. So you can have jahl of what? Of the hukum. And you also have what they call jahl of the waqt. You can be ignorant of the what? Of the ruling, and you can be ignorant of the time. The time. That's also very important. A person is ignorant of the time. Also, likewise, they're not what? Their siyam is still valid. For example, we'll get inside the discussion of, inshallah, after Maghrib, different examples of this matter. For example, a person wakes up and he doesn't really know the time, what's going on. He might be a little bit, what do you call it? Not lethargic. He's just waking up. He's just trying to rush. Oh, I think it's time. Disoriented. He wakes up, he's disoriented. Wakes up, just grabs something to drink. He's just thinking in his mind of what comes to his mind. He didn't even think to look at his phone or whatever. He just jashed up, just started drinking. Found out it was 10 minutes in after the event. Of what, of course, to the best of his ability of knowing what they say the time when the fajr starts. Do we say what? What was based upon his ghalabat al-dhan, or was based upon what his mind had thought, fajr did not come in yet. We'd say that here in this instance, his fast is still valid. What came to his mind is he's really thought in his mind that what? Siyam, the time did not come in yet. Opposite side of the spectrum. Let's just save the time for Maghrib. What happened with Asma bint Abi Bakr radiyallahu anha? He said that we broke fast in a time where it was very cloudy outside. And he thought that the time, the time for breaking the fast had commenced, started. It's time to break fast. He said, so we broke our fast, we ate, because we thought in our minds clearly that this was the time. The sun came back out. The sun was still up a little bit. So, what do we say here? They stay fast was still valid. The message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not command them to what? To make it up. Did not. Why? Because they was ignorant of what? The time. They did not know. What was in their minds is that I'm thinking this reality of what's going on, that it did not come in yet, or that either Fajr did not come in yet, or it did not, or the sun did not set yet. Or excuse me, I'm sorry. That the sun did set. That the sun actually went down. Right, everyone? If that was his case, he said, oh man, I didn't his fast is still what? Valid. Because he was ignorant of not only the hukum, as far as in the hadith that happened to Adi ibn Abi Hatim, right everyone? We gave that example of where a person is ignorant of the what? The hukum, and then you have ignorance of the what? Of the time. Is it clear? So what's done out of that is what? Is ma'fuun an, is overlooked, inshallah. As far as in the state of remembrance, I think everyone already should know that. I think everyone, inshallah, state of remembrance. Of course, we'll talk about that in a minute. I think everyone already knows that. You get up one day, you go out, you're fasting, and all of a sudden, you might be at work and you just grab a sandwich and start eating. Just eating. Then your wife might call, you're eating and fasting. Oh, I forgot. What do we say? Fast still valid. Fast is still valid. While he's in the state of what? Forgetfulness. He's in the state of remembrance. It happened to me. I've told brothers this story to me. I was in the khutbah. It happened to me in Ramadan in the khutbah. This was funny. Oh, this was funny. I was in a khutbah because we didn't have where I was at in Philadelphia. We didn't have an AC at the time. And this was in the summer. It was hot. It was hot, and we had no AC. And you can imagine the first day of Ramadan. I think if Friday was like the second day of Ramadan, third day of Ramadan, something like that. So everybody was in there. Everybody was in the masjid. The first Jumu'ah for the first Jumu'ah for the first week of Ramadan. Packed. No AC. Allah knows best it was from Allah. Because I was giving a khutbah. So I said, water. I said, give me a water. So everyone looked at me like, so I'm like, what is he looking at me for? So I said, so they gave me a water, right? So I'm talking, so I start drinking. So everybody like, I'm still not getting it. I'm still not understanding what's going on. I'm like, man, what people look at? So I'm just keep talking. So after the khutbah was over, he said, you remember Ramadan? Oh, I forgot. I said, why ain't nobody say, AbdurRazzaaq? He said, well, we can't talk during the khutbah. I was like, that's true. I said, maybe you could have written a piece of paper. Ramadan. It's Ramadan. But anyway, the point of what I'm mentioning is what? It's in the state of what, everyone? Forgetfulness. I forgot. I truly forgot. I truly forgot I was fasting. And Allah knows best it was from Allah. Because it was, like I said, it was a lot of people and no air conditioner. And I think it was extremely hot inside the masjid. Very hot. No AC. All them people, and it was very hot, and I was giving a khutbah. And we know that hadith of the Prophet ﷺ said, verily Allah gave him food and gave him drink. So I was actually happy because I was extremely thirsty after the khutbah. But alhamdulillah, I forgot. So I kept fasting the same day. So that's the reason why we said from the conditions from one's siyam not being invalidated is what? From one having knowledge, but keeping mind knowledge of what? Of the hukum and knowledge of the time. And secondly, which is what? State of remembrance. And also intentional. And intentionally has an effect on a lot of ahkam. A lot. And you'll find how our religion is complete. Anything that was done unintentionally. You walk down the street, let's just say, and let's just say, for example, there's a lot of examples. I just gave an example, alhamdulillah. In regards to what you might walk down the street, find a repugnant smell, disgusting, to the point where you throw up. You throw up. We know that if you do throwing up, intentionally will what? Break your fast. Let's just say you smell something to the point you couldn't even control yourself. What happened? What do we say? Your fast is still what? Still valid. Why? Because you intentionally didn't what? You didn't intentionally throw. You didn't stick your finger in and throw yourself. Rather, it was something that you couldn't control. Something that you didn't have no control over. There's a lot of examples of this. Where a person doesn't do something intentionally. Where, let's just say, for example, a person now might cut his arm. I'll say this when we start to pray. Cut his arm. A lot of blood comes out. A lot of blood. A lot. No. he might have just rubbed up against something. It happens. It happened to me a couple of times. It happened to a couple of people I know. They didn't even know it was sharp. They just looked at their all this blood just start coming out. They're like, wait, what happened? How'd it happen? Right? It's happened to a lot of people, I'm sure we know. If the blood is now gushing out, we say if it's done unintentionally, fast is still siyam. You have to stop it, of course. Stop it. But if someone has reached killing and point about to die, it's something different. Now you have to break your fast. But let's just say he contained it, stopped it. He can continue his siyam because he didn't do it intentionally. He didn't intend to do it. He didn't intend to do it. For another example, nosebleed. You got a nosebleed. The person that has a nosebleed, he intentionally makes himself have a nosebleed? No. Certain right now, a person start having blood coming out of his nose. Does he intentionally do it? No. So a person still will continue his siyam. There's a lot of ahkam in regards to not doing things unintentionally that takes place. And even in regards to what we'll talk about, inshallah. We'll get to that, inshallah. We'll get into that. As far as with sperm, we'll continue that after the salah. But keep in mind what I said. Those three conditions are very important. Keep in mind knowledge. What else? Stay in remembrance and intentionally doing it. We'll continue after the salah. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Not here. Not here.